We are going to now light the Advent candles, and as we do this, this year we're going to be sharing some stories. So basically what we ended last year with a budget surplus, and which was like shocking and miraculous. God just provided that for us. And as we prayed through what does it make sense to do with that budget surplus, we decided through our gospel communities, let's find ways to bless our community and the people that are around us. And so we've had several opportunities where we've been able to give and bless. And so as we do Advent this year, we're going to share some of those stories as a way to just remember what Christmas is all about. It's about hope. It's about joy. It's about love. It's about peace. And so we're going to share some of these stories as we do Advent together. And here's Charlotte Miller, who's going to lead us.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. Wasn't it beautiful to come into the church with the Christmas trees? And this is gorgeous. So thank you, whomever put all of that together. It's very welcoming. As Mark said, I'm Charlotte Miller. I'm one of the gospel community leaders. And when the elders and the leadership decided to pay forward that excess money, we talked about it in our gospel community. It was such an opportunity to pay forward the love of Christ, and how could we do that? And so when we met, we were discussing and trying to brainstorm different ideas, and we ended up coming up with two needs that we thought were important. One, the one that I'm going to talk about today, was presented to me by two of my Latina friends from the military. They've exposed me to a community that I wasn't really aware of, and that was the migrant farm workers. And this particular community was up in Yuba City, so very close to us here in Lincoln. I'm going to say Lincoln, that's where I live, in Rockland. And when I was talking about the opportunity to possibly help these families, they make minimum wage, and then out of that minimum wage, they pay for their shelter. And so they're probably bringing home about $1,000 a month. And so one of the friend's sisters is an administrator at Yuba City School District. And she translates for the families with the teachers or the administrators. And she identified for us 5 families that have 3 or more children that were in particular greater need than the rest of the families. And so we put forward a request to the church for $200 apiece, so $1,000 for these families to be shared. Then the friends who told me about the need, they actually added more money to that. So each of these families ended up getting $300 from Creekside, or $200 from Creekside. And the appreciation was overwhelming. So I'll talk about 2 of the 5 families. One family, mother, contracted COVID. During this time, she actually passed away. So the $200 was of great importance to them because they had to figure out how to get Mama back to Mexico. And so that helped alleviate a little bit of their financial burden through a very sorrowful time in their life. And then another family, I don't know how many children. Like I said, I know all of them had a minimum of 3 kids, but maybe more. This one family was very lacking in food for some reason, so I'm not really sure how many children. The school provides breakfast and lunch, but because of COVID, you have to come and pick it up, and for whatever reason, this family had not been able to pick up the breakfast meal. I don't know whether they were already in the fields, what was going on. But when she came to get the lunch and she was able to receive the check from Creekside, she just kept repeating, gracias a Dios, thank God, thank God. From what I understand, they had been pretty much living on beans and rice for dinner and just milk and eggs for breakfast. And so this was going to provide great relief to that family. So that is a wonderful thing that you, and because we're all part of this wonderful church of Creekside, and the elders provided to pay forward to these migrant families. They were all on a visa for farming, so they're already headed home for Mexico. They usually leave right before Thanksgiving, so then they come back, and that's how the school district is so familiar with the families, because they go and come. So that is a great opportunity, and the hope in this, our Advent today is hope, because there's hope in need, and then there's hope in the gift, and then there's hope in the appreciation. That hope is, like a pinpoint when you're in the trial and the tribulation and the need. And then when you get a gift, that it opens. And then the appreciation, it just makes the hope brighter and brighter. So with that, I've been asked to share some more with you. The first candle represents hope. It reminds us of the longing that God's people felt as they waited for God to act in the midst of hopeless situations. It reminds us of the hope that the prophets had as they looked forward to the Messiah who would bring peace and love to the world. The scripture is Isaiah 9, verses 1 and 2. There will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land in the shadow of death, a light has dawned. As we light the candle of hope, we remember the light that dawned through the birth of Jesus as we look forward to the day he will return again. And this says, may Creekside be a community of hope, but I say Creekside is a community of hope.